Hi folks, it's Peter, back to try and complete what I started on the previous video, a look at my recent purchases. But before we start that, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of people. First, a big thanks to Nico for his comments that he on the first video. Very much appreciated, and I'll definitely get round to doing that SVAT video sometime soon, hopefully. And secondly, to Derek Vaughan for the kind welcome to the VC community. Derek was the first guy's videos I ever saw, so a big thanks to him. Right, let's get started. Most of these are going to be from my purchase from Discogs and from a recent record fair. But I'm going to start off with a brand new album that just arrived. And speaking of Derek Vaughan, this is our own Mr. Higgins's Flyover. It's his album from, when did he do it? From 2014. This is an excellent album of electronic music. He's a very talented guy, and it's a great looking package. That's the inner sleeve. I've just got to show you the vinyl, which is beautiful. There you go, in that lovely splatter vinyl. This is an excellent album, well worth checking out. So if you fancy that, check out Derek's Bandcamp page, because he's got loads of other stuff as well. Right, let's get on to the main body. The first album I've got is a Discogs purchase, and it's by the very first band rock band I ever saw live. Back in about late 75, early 76, with some friends, I went over to Newcastle City Hall to see Yes during their Relayer tour, and the support band were Griffin. And this is their third album, Red Queen to Griffin 3. Now at this point, this is where they became a full-blown prog band. This is considered by many to be their best album, but I have obviously a soft spot for their second, Midnight Mushrooms, which is my favourite. This is on the Transatlantic label from 1974. And it's an excellent album. Next up are 4 purchases that I made at the record fair, and I got all 4 of these for £15, which I thought was, given that they're in sort of near mint condition, is excellent. And I'll show you them quickly. First is Edgar Froese's Stuntman. When was this released? His 1979 solo album, and along with that I got Tangerine Dream's Force Majeure, another 1979 album. This is with Chris Franke and Klaus Krieger on drums. And yet another Tangerine Dream album, White Eagle. Now this is when Jonas Schmerling had joined the band, and it's from 1982. It's on the Virgin label. And finally, another one from that era, Hyperborea, from 1983. All 4 of these albums are excellent, really, well worth listening to. In fact, Hyperborea was probably the point at which I gave up on Tangerine Dream, really, apart from a couple of the live albums which came afterwards. I did try buying Melrose and Optical Race on CD, but I never really liked those and got rid of them. I'm sure they've produced some great music in the 30 years since, but there's so much of it that it's a bit of hard work to try and trawl all the way through that and find it. If anybody can recommend anything that might appeal to somebody who likes their pre-86 music, then please let me know. The next one again was from Discogs this time, and is one of my favourite bands, Caravan, with their album Blind Dog at St Dunstan's. Now a lot of people give this mixed reviews, but for me this is their last classical album. I really like this. This is an American pressing from 1976 on Arista Records. I mean, I think after this they went downhill a bit, but I still love this album. Next is an album I've been after for a while, and it's the recording from the last concert at the Rainbow Theatre. Rainbow Theatre was a famous venue here in England, in London, and this is Over the Rainbow. This features tracks by Sassafras, Procol Harum, Frankie Miller with Procol Harum backing him, Richard and Linda Thompson, Hatfield in the North, John Martin and Kevin Coyne. This is, I mean, it's a great lineup. It's on the Chrysalis label, and the last concert was on Sunday, March the 16th, 1975. Now, the Rainbow did reopen after that because I saw the Grateful Dead there in 1981. So, but this is a superb album. It's a shame. I don't know how long each act got to play, but I'm sure they could have made it into a double album with a better cover as well, really. But well worth having. Next up, again, is the album Novella by Renaissance. I really like Renaissance, and to me this is their last decent album. After this point they went into a more commercial vein, gaining themselves a hit single in the process. But this is again, and it's an American pressing on ABC from 1977. After that, one of my favourite bands, being Italian, I love my Italian prog, and one of the best of those bands is Area, and this is their first live album, Areazione. I'll open it up to show you what it's like. Inside, nice inside cover. And this is a re-release on the Get Back label, but it still utilises the superb Cramps label that the album was originally released on. Trying to find out, it's 1975. Area were a superb jazz rock, avant-garde band with superb vocalist Dimitrios Stratos, whose vocal range is incredible. They're well worth checking out. I'll have to show you sometime the 4 studio albums I've got, which they redid recently as box sets, which are superb productions. Right, next up, a band who I'd read about for a long time but never got around to hearing, and I think this album is absolutely superb, and it's Carmen, Fandangos in Space. Now these were unique and known for mixing prog rock with flamenco. In fact, 2 of the members are credited with footwork, as you can actually hear dancing steps during some of the tracks. Let's show you the inner cover so you can see where the flamenco comes in. This is, again, it's an American pressing on the ABC Dunhill label, and I think these deserve to be far better known than they are. I was really impressed with this album. Oh, the main guy, the main name that anybody probably would know would be John Glascock, who went on to play bass with Jethro Tull for 3 or 4 albums. He was on the Songs from the Wood album. That is an excellent album. I would recommend to anybody who likes prog rock. Next up, an album that I had in my youth, which I got rid of, probably like a lot of people of my generation. We switched to CD for many years and had a cull of vinyl. Fortunately, I kept most of my vinyl collection, but I did get rid of some of my favourites, which I'm now having to buy back, and this is one of them. It's not wasn't cheap, but it was I had to have it again, and it's one of my favourite bands of all time. It's the Grateful Dead and their superb live triple album, Europe 72. This is absolutely superb. I know the Live Dead is considered their greatest live album, I wouldn't argue with that, but for me this is up there with it. And this is a superb near mint copy which I got from Germany. The only problem with this album is the lack of artwork inside. They could have at least produced some more of the Kelly Mouse artwork or in band photos from the tour, but this is absolutely superb, and I was so pleased to be reunited with it. Next was one from the Record Fair, and it's the Heavy Metal Pioneers Blue Cheer with I think their second album, Vincebus Eruptum. This is a later, I think, an 80s reissue, still on the Philips label. Excellent proto-heavy metal. This is the one with their hit single Summertime Blues on. Well worth having if you like your 70s, 60s probably this one, heavy rock. Next, getting back to my love of all things krautrock, is this excellent band Frumpy with their second album, Frumpy 2. This is a reissue on the Fontana label, I think from the 80s, but is German pressing. It's a different cover from the original, but I like this cover. Frumpy are an excellent bluesy heavy rock jamming band with superb keyboard organ playing by Jean-Jacques Clavetts and the incredible vocals of Inga Rump. In fact, the first time I ever heard Frumpy, I was sure they had a male vocalist. Well worth having, and if you can get it, check out the live album. That's excellent too. Next up, another of my favourite bands from the 70s, and I'll just take it out of its sleeve. The Strobes. I was really pleased to find this at the Record Fair in mint condition, basically. Just shows the incredible artwork inside in this triple fold out. Isn't that beautiful? And it comes with a excellent lyric booklet with superb illustrations. This was the first album I think they did after Rick Wakeman had left and Blue Weaver joined as a keyboard player. He was an excellent keyboard player in his own right, and this is well worth having. I love this album. Next up, a West Coast album, and it's CJ Fish by Country Joe and the Fish. I'd never heard this album before. I'm a big Country Joe and the Fish fan. This is from, what year is it from? I can't remember. Might have been about 1970, something like that. At this point, there was only two members of the original band left there. Country Joe MacDonald himself and Barry Melton, the guitarist. This doesn't quite have that unique sound of the first couple of albums, but it's a very strong album in its own right, and I really like this. This is a UK pressing. On which? On Vanguard, yeah. UK press on Vanguard, and features a different cover to the American pressing. I like that cover though. I was really pleased to see that. Next up is, staying with the West Coast, another of my favourite bands, Jefferson Airplane, and what is considered by many to be their best album, Surrealistic Pillow. Again, this is from the record fair, but is a brand new reissue of the album from this year. I presume it was reissued to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love. Superb, superb album that everybody who likes psych and West Coast rock should have in their collection. And sticking with the Airplane, also from the record fair hall, was Sunfighter by Grace Slick and Paul Kantner. This is from the period where they were sort of morphing from the Airplane into the Starship, and it features all the usual suspects: Jack Cassidy, Jorma Kaukonen, David Crosby, Graham Nash, Joey Covington, Spencer Dryden and Jerry Garcia. Strong album, very good, worth having. Now the next band, this is the first studio album of theirs I own on vinyl, which is incredible given my love of prog. I've got most of their stuff on CD, but this is the first studio album on vinyl, and that's Gentle Giants in a Glass House. This is a superb album. This is a recent reissue from, I think, 2010, and on their own, I think it's their own label, Alucard. This is superb with tracks like The Runaway, Experience, In a Glass House itself. Brilliant, brilliant album. And finally, this last album was I got from a local charity shop. Usually their vinyl's pretty naff. It's middle of the road, pretty battered, and I don't always bother going through it, but the other day I actually had a look and I found what is virtually a mint copy of ELP's Works Volume 1. A lot of people knock this album, and it's always claimed to be self-indulgent, as everybody likes to say about prog, but it's not a bad album. It's but not to the standard of what came before for ELP, but it's far better than what came after. My actual favourite side of the three solo sides is actually Carl Palmer's. Well, that's it. Nearly 20 minutes again. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this one interesting. I know I had to rush through some of these quite quickly in order to keep the time down. I'll try and follow up with some more videos like the Svart one, and I'd love to do me as Nico did my krautrock collection. Well, take care, all the best, bye.